Hey everybody, Jason with Heap of Jeep. Welcome to video number... What number are we on with this series? 4, I believe, in the bumper series. Got a little more work done on the bumper since the last video. The main structural part, I just need to do the skirting. Today we're going to work on fabricating the brackets that it's going to sit on, and the skirting to go around the bottom, and then painting and installing. Dare I say we'll call it done at that point. This has been a long project, but let's get going here. Alright, so as you can see, I rounded the corners off a little bit. I just measured in 2 inches from the corner on each axis, and then cut that off and welded that to it. So that worked. Other than that, you know, it's just been a whole bunch of welding and grinding, and I think we're done with the main structure. Everything done so far. 3/16 steel, probably weighs about 40 pounds, I'm guessing. The skirting that's going to go along the bottom is just going to be in that 14 or 16 gauge or whatever that other scrap is I have, and it shouldn't matter because it's not structural. And here we go. Let's get to the brackets. Okay, so for these, all I'm going to use are the original mounting holes in the frame, because mine is just for cosmetics. I don't do any like super duper hardcore wheeling in this thing where I'll ever find myself truly in need of a winch or recovery points or anything like that. You know, if you're making a bumper that's going to have recovery points on it or a winch, then tie it back in. You're going to have to tie your bracket stock here all the way back to some more holes back there and really tie it into that. But for me, this is just for cosmetics, so I'm not too worried about it only being held on by 3 bolts. But I did find some 3/16 flat stock I had lying around, and I think that will do just ducky. So the first thing I'm going to do is take some cardboard and put it on the old bracket so I can trace where the holes are. Then with some scissors or a knife or something sharp, I'm just gonna put the holes in the cardboard. And it just occurred to me that's opposite of what I was going for, because that's the back bolt, so the cardboard would be sliding into the bumper or sliding into the frame like that. So I'm going to transfer these onto a different piece the way I wanted it to be. Now to figure out how tall to make them, I took a piece of scrap from when I was cutting out bumper parts, because that's how thick the actual bumper is going to be against the top. I want it to sit flat, but I also want a little, probably want a good 1/8 of an inch leeway in there so that I can move this around a little bit. So I'm going to say right there. Then we'll take our flat stock. We know this is going to be the top edge. So there's the hole I measured from, and we want to go 4.5 inches. Okay, so when we're done, we have this. Now on the other side, I think one of the bolts to the power steering pump is kind of in the way of this corner, so I'm just going to shave this corner down when I transfer it to make a second one. But all I did was do 1/2-inch holes, because it's just enough to give it a little wiggle room if I need to adjust it. And then 4.5 inches out from that hole, and hopefully that should work. Okay, so both of these are cut. Ground down the edges where I'll be welding it to the bumper, and now we just need to put them in place, set the new bumper on it, and see how close we got. Hopefully we won't need to do much tweaking. Okay, so I've got it lined up where I want it on both sides, and now I'm just going to tack it in place. Welding upside down, not my strong point. Alright, now I'm just going to finish welding these in place. Alright, well, my cheap Harbor Freight welder, I think, has finally given up the ghost. It did get the welds done enough on the brackets where I feel confident putting it on the Jeep, but I'm not going to mess with it to try and do the skirt yet. But that leads to the dilemma. Do I go out and print off the 20% off coupon for Harbor Freight and go pick up another welder for 80 bucks or whatever it would come out to? Or do I start saving my money and throw it on the Jeep now without a skirt and just a little primer on it to keep it from rusting until I'm ready to work on it again, and save up for a nice Lincoln welder, which is what I'm leaning towards doing. It's 500 bucks as opposed to 80 bucks, but from everything I've read about welders, you know, you get what you pay for, and this little Harbor Freight one has lasted me about 14 months doing some pretty decent, you know, a decent amount of work. So I'm not complaining that it's, you know, gone, but it just kind of leaves me in a dilemma of what to do with the bumper. So I think that's what I'm going to do, though. I'm just going to throw some primer on it to keep it from rusting, and I don't want to put the bed liner coating on that I was going to do yet, because then when I do get to putting the skirt on, you're going to have to grind that off, and it never matches once you the bed liner's too thick to really. So anyway, yeah. So I'm just going to do that. So let me throw some primer on it and throw it on the Jeep, and we'll wrap this up. So after looking at the primer after it dried and realizing I'm going to save up and get a good welder, this bumper is probably going to be on here on the Jeep for a little while before I can get to finishing it. And I don't like the primer gray. So just went up and bought a cheap old can of black spray paint. And we'll spray it black and then we'll put it on the Jeep. Alright, so I came to the decision while I've been sitting here painting this bumper. I think I'm going to do a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter campaign or something like that to see if people want to help out getting me to that Lincoln welder. It's about $500, and I'm not going to go out and waste $100 on another Harbor Freight welder when that Lincoln welder is what I've been at. You know, it's what I've been thinking about getting anyways, and so yeah, I'm gonna do that, and I will get there eventually. Probably 2 or 3 months from now we'll get back to the fabrication stuff, because that's when I'll have the money to go out and get the welder. But if you want to help out and put some money towards the GoFundMe campaign, I'll put a link to the video up here, and you can go help out with that if you want, and that'll just get us there quicker, and I'll get back to the fabrication stuff and putting the skirt on the bumper and things like that. So up to you guys. No hard feelings if you don't want to give. I rarely give to those. I gave to Matt at Bleep and Jeep to help him with his garage, his insulation, and I help out from time to time. But I completely understand if you're thinking, I don't want to help that idiot out. So yeah, no hard feelings if you decide that's not what you want to do. But I'm going to go ahead and throw this bumper on there as it is now. It's good enough to drive around with, and hopefully before the snow starts flying I'll be able to go pick up that Lincoln welder, put the skirt on it, put the bed liner on it, and call it done completely. Right now it's just sort of a tentative done. So if everything goes as planned, I put jack stands on each corner, and I should be able to slide the bumper right onto those jack stands, and that'll hold it while I can get those bolts lined up. Well, there we are for now. Please check out the GoFundMe page and help out if you want to. Otherwise, stick around. We'll get more Jeep fixing videos coming up.